Hey everyone, welcome to Comics with Bueller. As always, I am Bueller, and we're here with another creator interview. We're here with Jeff Parker. Jeff Parker, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I love having you on. I met you, I believe, last year at Rose City Comic Con.
Yeah, that
Or
sounds right.
yeah, Rose City, because that's kind of your neck of the woods, and I'm assuming you're a regular guest at Rose City.
Yeah, it's too easy to not do. I mean, it's like I just ride my bike over there. It's
Yeah,
pretty great.
yeah, and you'll see other creators riding their bikes to the con as well. That's pretty a normal
Yeah,
thing.
because there's no parking. Yes, you got to find a way to get there.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
yeah,
Uh,
that Rose City and Emerald City show, those are nice and close for us.
Yeah. Do you ever go to the Frankenstein comic swap at all?
I always because it's always on a Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm always like working on something, and then I realize, oh no, it's happening, and I run over and it's done.
Yeah. They're a lot
Like,
of fun.
but yeah, it's like
It's a little
I know
comic.
it's a good swap meet.
Yeah, it's a little comic book swap meet. It's like $1 to get in. It's just a bunch of vendors and stuff and selling their books, and you can get a lot of stuff really cheap. But we're here to talk about some Darkwing Negaduck goodness right now. The reason why we're here is because there is a Kickstarter going on for the
Yes.
Darkwing and the all the tie-ins for it right now, and Dynamite has that going on. That's got about a week left. I don't know if you've looked at the numbers recently, but it's over $250,000 right now.
Wow.
So $250,000 gain for this Kickstarter, and your work is in this Kickstarter program because it's divided up into 3 different parts. There's 3 different novels. There's one with yours and Roger's work. He did Justice Duck. So yours
Roger Langridge.
yours is in one book. Then Amanda's is in another one, and I think Tad's is in another one, or something like that. But let me ask you this real quick: how did you get involved with the Darkwing universe and the Negaduck, and how's that been going so far? Because I believe the new issue just comes out.
This week. Number 6 comes out, and so we're in a new storyline where Negaduck meets a secret society of super criminals, and that you find out they seem to want him to be part of the group, but they're all super criminals, so of course there's an evil plan afoot. So this plays out in a kind of fun way. I'm looking forward to hear what people think about it. I originally came on because editor Nate Cosby, who I've worked with on different things since doing Flash Gordon and stuff like that a few years back with Evan Shaner and with Mark Laming on the whole King series. He knows he knows I like the Ducks and and I'm a big Disney nerd. So yeah, he floated that one by me, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll totally do Negaduck. That'd be great. So when we did a fun little shout out in the first one of this arc where he goes to a place called Tadstonia to try to steal a crown. It's like, I'm going to wait till Tad finally sees that and catches the joke. It's like, I know he'll eventually read it. So he and I, Nate and I are on a wavelength about stuff like that. He knows we also worked together along with Paul Tobin on the Angry Birds comics a few years back for Rovio. So I'm big on all ages fun and adventure. It's not the only thing I do, but I like to do a fair amount of it because, as you and I were talking about before we started recording, like I like to have something I can hand out at Halloween, and I like to, and it's like and just poo-poo the idea that comics aren't for kids, because they absolutely are.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. It's nice seeing the Disney lineup that Dynamite's bringing to everybody, because I think there is a market that's been missing as far as for the younger audience and stuff. But let me ask you this, because Negaduck is a villain. So you're writing a villain comic that's for all ages. Do you kind of have to balance the line a little bit? I mean, you got to put a positive message out there, but Negaduck is in theory is not like a superhero.
Yeah, no, he's it's more like when I was writing Thunderbolts for Marvel. In fact, I think of that a lot when I'm working on it. It's like typically like and the thing I often did in Thunderbolts is bring in other villains who are even worse. So your villain doesn't look so
Yeah.
bad, you know. And also like it's fun to have a character like Negaduck who's so full of himself that he sabotages himself, you know. So it's like kids' morality isn't super dependent on what I'm showing a duck do. So, you know, like I feel like they get it. They can enjoy him without wanting to be him.
Yeah.
You know, well, even Darkwing is completely full of himself. You know, he talks about
Oh,
himself
yeah.
all the time. They are a whole lot. They're actually not as different as the cartoons make them seem, except that, you know, Negaduck has a yellow blazer and a big purple hat.
Yeah. So you said you're a big fan of the Disney Duck. So when were you first introduced to this universe? As far as, were you watching the cartoon? Was it were you reading books or something like that?
Well, like what I'm thinking of is first, you know, it was the Carl Barks stuff. As a kid, I read every bit of that Uncle Scrooge I could find.
Yeah.
And I love now that you can get the nice collections. You know, like my son and I, and he's college age. We still get those books all the time when they come out and read through them. So I was always a big fan of that. And even though supposedly these aren't in the same universe, you kind of sort of run them together when you think about them a little bit. It's still Disney animal talking hijinks, things like that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. See, as for the Darkwing show, I only saw a little bit of it at the time because I was already grown up and out doing stuff on Saturdays when the show was on. So I would just catch them at odd times, and I was just glad, like, oh, good, they're doing another good cartoon, and you know, it's like this is like they're riffing on the Batman animated series.
Yeah.
You know,
So
at least that's what I thought they were doing.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So working on a Disney property, do you have any leeway as far as introducing new characters? Because it is part of the Disney universe. I mean, can you bring in a brand new character and maybe Disney likes it and holds on to it, or do you have to just do one-offs, or what's the deal on that?
We'll find out because this the story arc we're in right now introduces an entirely new group of characters that were never in the cartoons or the comics. So yeah, we'll find out. Like, does Disney want to do anything with these? I don't know. I just felt like making up a bunch of weird villains, so I just did it. Yeah, and a lot of times, like the first story arc, I did stick to having characters you had only seen in the show, which is a little harder. You know, it's like people tell you, it's like, oh, don't make up stuff that you're probably not going to end up owning, but it's kind of hard to write that way. You know, if you don't make up at least some incidental characters to kind of, I don't know, bring the thing alive. It's like you can't obsess over it too much, I feel like.
Well, let me jump to another direction real quick and talk about some of your other work real fast, because you've worked on many, many books over the years. I mean, if I go and I look at all your list, it's pretty massive. So, I mean,
it's gotten pretty big.
It looks like you've scratched every itch, but is there anything else out there that's still on your bucket list that you'd like to tackle?
Oh, I know there is. Yeah, because like I've gotten to do Flash Gordon. That was a big one. I've gotten to write stuff like Aquaman and the DC heroes and most of the Marvel heroes. Let's see. There's some, the weird thing is there's some where like when I have like one of the things like I would actually mentioning Carl Barks, like I would kind of stay away from those ducks.
Yeah.
Because in my mind it's like Carl Barks is the top of Everest there, and I'm like, boy, I'm not going to add to that. I just feel like he's already done every great thing, and I get intimidated. Same thing like Walt Simonson's Thor run.
Yeah.
That's why I never tried to push to get on Thor or anything, because it's like, man, I'm just going to start repeating stuff Walt Simonson did because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to the readers. So I do have a few things like that intimidate me. I would like to do a good stint on something with Superman in it. Just because I still have some Superman opinions I'd like to get off my chest. And about like the way I'd like to see some of his adventures happen. But I've got some more DC stuff coming up too. So like he might be in there somewhere. There might be a bat or something, I'll keep thinking about this because it's like I know there's probably something that I've always really wanted, but it's not just popping into my head right now. Seems like if you just keep sticking around, eventually everybody will give you a chance to try it a little bit. I would have liked longer things. Like I would have liked to stayed on Aquaman longer. I felt like we were really Paul Pelletier and I were building up a lot of steam with that, and they ended up using a lot of stuff we did in the first movie, and I was like, so it must have been going well. There are things like that. And I like some of the weirder characters but then I got to do a lot of them. I got to do Man-Thing and the Thunderbolts, and let's see, I got to do the Agents of Atlas, which was, one of my favorite things to work on at Marvel. And I still wouldn't mind doing a little bit more of that just because I loved writing that team so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a real non-answer. I want to work on things I already worked on.
Oh, I enjoyed your run on Hulk, the Red Hulk and everything.
Yeah, I had a great time on Hulk.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that book, and
even though it wasn't the Hulk, it was the Red Hulk. Yeah. But in a way, it sort of freed you up because you get to have Thunderbolt Ross be sort of hunted by the thing he created for a change, and like, hey, here's what it's like to be a Hulk. You never get to rest or do anything.
Well, I know a lot of people are looking forward to probably seeing Red Hulk in the Marvel movie universe someday. Be kind of cool to see that. So
I'm curious how if they're gonna do that.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun.
I guess they are.
I think they are. I think they cast
Harrison Ford, right?
Yeah. So I mean, you never know. So I'm looking forward to it. But you were talking about like being in a con and having a table. So if somebody comes by your table and they're like, "Hey, I want the quintessential Jeff Parker book," what would you hand them and say, "You know what? This is what I'm the most proud of. This is me in a nutshell."
That's tough. I usually have a fair amount of graphic novels at the table now. I like to do stories that end. That's just the way I'm geared. I like complete stories. Like I like doing series, but it's like I still like there to be endpoints where things like just complete. Like at my table, I usually have right now. I will have Underground that I did with Steve Lieber. And instead, I don't think in terms of like, here's something that's me. Because I think more about like I try to ask what the reader is into and what kind of stuff they gravitate towards. So like somebody who likes more realistic stuff would like Underground. Somebody who might like more YA and science fiction might like Meteor Men that I did with Sandy Jarrell. And so I often steer them to that. I did a web series called Bucko with Erica Moen, and where we just kind of have a whole cast of hipsters and weirdos, and like some people really gravitate towards that and won't read anything else I do. So I just like having a variety like that, and I do have more traditional stuff like, oh, they didn't compile yet the Christmas series we did last year for DC, but that one I put the books together and people were going after those like crazy. Everybody liked big beefy Santa helping out the
Yeah.
Justice League. Because why wouldn't you? And
Yeah.
I don't really have. There's not one I'm more proud of than the others, because I really won't do a story until I have found my way into it.
Hmm.
If I can get to the part where I have turned down jobs because like I've had to call the editor and say, I just am not feeling this, and I don't think I'm going to do a great job. And I hate that. I hate turning down work because I'm a freelancer and we really can't afford to do it. But I can find my way into like, oh, here's what's going to make this fun. Here's what's going to make this come to life. And then I'm off and running. And often it's stuff that I didn't really think, like I had not a big experience with, and I didn't know was going to be like that. And maybe in some ways it's that I'm more freed up with material that, like I said, it's not Simonson's Thor where in my head it's this one way. I see the abilities to, and that's the other thing, going back to Negaduck and villains. The nice thing with villains is you don't have to worry about making them look bad, because that's the whole point.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't have to like, oh man, Superman would never do this. It's
Yeah.
like, there's nothing Negaduck wouldn't do,
Yeah.
So it's like you can make them look as petty and as childish as you want to, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I drifted way off whatever your point was there. But I just try to keep a variety of books, and like it's funny how when you go to different parts of the country, different things will be what people want,
Hmm.
and I can never predict it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But like when I had those Aquaman trades, and I remember I went to Boston, those things sold out, and I was like, well, of course, Aquaman he's a New Englander. Like maybe they just like, oh yeah, that's our hero.
Sure.
Um, yeah, Aquaman's a masshole. He's got to come along with us.
There you go. So you and I are kind of from the same area and stuff like that. And one of the things I like to do, I give like comic shop spotlights and just kind of talk about shops that I've visited all over the country. In the Portland area, can you recommend a couple comic shops? I can recommend a few. Actually, my local LCS I go to is Things from Another World, Tifa in Milwaukee.
Yeah, they're great. They're great. I've lived closest to Cosmic Monkey, and I love that shop. So I like, they're a big one for me. I always tell them like, and they always have everything and a kid section, and I always push that. But so does Books with Pictures down on Division. They're a fantastic store. They go out of their way to be more inclusive. So that's often a very friendly place to go. There's Cloud9, there's Floating World. The interesting thing here is, when you go to other, it's not like I'm going to crap on other cities in the country, but it's like when you go to a lot of places, you'll see like these little fiefdoms of the comic shops. They're kind of staking out their territory and everything.
Yeah.
And this is one of the few places I've ever been where the comic shops are strangely supportive of each other.
Yeah.
Like they'll Chris Simons at I Like Comics in Vancouver, great store up there. He has no problem just hopping on the phone and calling around to the other area stores when somebody's looking for a book and he doesn't have it. And I've seen him like he just drive over. He'll come across the Columbia and go look for it, and to make sure that he has the book. Like he's that big into customer service, and they all do that. They'll help each other out. They'll show up at each other's events. It's like, it's a great community, and the area is big enough to support these shops like that. So that's kind of great.
Yeah, I know my
A
friend.
lot of times comics can be about convenience, and people think, well, if I got to go over during traffic all the way to the other end of town, everything, I'll just order this or whatever. And Amazon wins, and it's like when you'd rather a community store win, so I really appreciate that. Yeah. If you're coming to Portland, please do a tour of all the comic shops. You're not going to be disappointed. There's not a dud in the bunch.
I know my friend, he does on Wednesdays, he goes for a walk, and he can walk from Cloud9 to Excalibur to Books with Pictures.
Yeah. Oh my God. How would I forget Excalibur? They're amazing. They're on Hawthorne, and they're like one of the oldest I think they are the oldest still running in the area. And no, they're a solid place. Where else does he go? Does he just do those two, or?
He does those three, and then he'll venture out something like the TFA sometimes if he's looking for a book. Have you ever been to Future Dreams, the one in the basement?
I have been to Future Dreams. I went to it at the slightly older location around from where it is right now. Yeah,
that's a unique shop.
That's a little like traveling in the past to the It's like you're back in 1990, and they've got a dedicated customer base that all just do pull lists. It's it's a lot of people who it's like they'll totally order your book for you and everything. It's not a more bookstore like experience like some of the other shops I was talking about, but they will come through if you tell them what you need. They'll make sure you got it.
Very nice. But we're going to wrap up here. Jeff, I want to say thank you for coming on board here. Do you have any other projects besides Negaduck that's going to be coming out you want to talk about?
Yeah, I've got some great ones, but they haven't been announced yet. So like everybody will get mad at me if I bring them up. I'll tell you privately.
Okay. Sounds good. Do you have any plans on any upcoming Comic-Cons at all?
I got to come up with something, because I'd like, I don't know about this summer, but this fall, I'd like to get out to some, maybe go to the East Coast or something. But I'm sitting there. Invite me, stores, if you have a big shop, big event that you would like me to go to. Thanks for reminding me. I haven't been on that.
Well, I just went to Washington State SummerCon was this past weekend, just a couple days ago. So I was up there.
Oh, is that fun?
It's a lot of fun. I've actually been the host for all the comic book panels for 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And I do I had Dan Jurgens on, and Jim Starlin, Jim Shooter. I've done many stuff with him, and that's a really fun con. It's at the fairgrounds in Puyallup. And so the con is kind of like indoors and outdoors. So there's plenty of room to move around. You're not just like all combined in one little place and stuff. So it's a lot of fun.
You can take the train there. It's by the train. Yeah,
you can take the train. And speaking of that, I took the train last month to C2E2 from Portland to Chicago, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Serious train ride.
Yeah, it's called the Empire Builder line, and I've been wanting to do that. It just so happened that C2E2 was that weekend I was going on that trip, and so I went to C2E2 and hung out there for a little bit and saw some friends and enjoyed a 2-day train ride there and a 2-day train ride back. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice going through Glacier National Park and stuff. That was kind of the reason I wanted to go.
Oh, yeah.
Through there and stuff this time of year, so it worked out really well.
Did they stop long enough for you to get out and see things?
Not really. I mean, it's pretty quick, but I mean, the windows, you're right by the windows, so you can see stuff pretty good. And obviously the park is very large, so there's a lot to see. But no, they only stop, I think the longest stop was maybe an hour, but most of them are like 10 minutes at the most.
Okay.
So, but there are about 15 stops along the way.
All right.
So you get to see something. And I also went to the Books with Pictures little street con that they had a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah.
And that got washed out, man.
It was raining really hard that day.
Yeah. People's stuff was flying down the street because the winds came, the rains came. I felt really bad, and you could just see the tents kind of topple over and stuff like that. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a weird bout of weather that day. It would come and be really hard, and then it was sunny again, and then boom.
And that was like the only day that was doing it this whole time.
Yeah, it didn't happen the rest of the
no.
time.
This month has been great, except for that one day.
Anyway, we have our outdoor event. Yeah,
exactly. Jeff, thank you so much for joining me. Everyone,
check
out Negaduck. Go check out the Kickstarter campaign for the Darkwing and all the books that are involved. And Jeff, that's it, man. I appreciate your time. Thanks everyone else for watching. Jeff, if you want to say goodbye real quick.
Yes. Thanks so much for tuning in. Good to see you all.
Thank you. All right, everyone. Don't forget to live your best life. You know what to do. We'll see you next time.